There's something to this. Kamala, Queen Akasha, Queen of the Damned. Take a look and see, and how it relates to different world political views, such as our reproductive rights.
Kamala Harris took the stage on November 6, 2024, to offer her supporters comforting words after losing the election to Donald Trump. But did she communicate something else without speaking? The answer is yes.
You want to see the best part of Kamala's concession speech? The best part was the end. Of course, the end was the best part because there was some meaning behind it. Get it? Yeah. They present themselves as a couple and then they walk off. It's very strange and cringy, but you know what? Looks very familiar. This is the same way the vampire Lestat walks off at the end of Queen of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned is
series. And the studio went on and made the movie, and the movie was not really based on my work.
My children, Maharaj, you will address my king first.
The world has changed since you reigned.
Then we shall change it back. Humans are animals, brute creatures. The destruction can only make sense.
We found other ways to coexist.
Oh yes, in silence, in shadows and shame, and for what? For respect of mortals. They are nothing to us. They are merely food.
Akasha, please.
You think you can change my will? Had enough of this discussion.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up!
In 1942, Margaret Sanger's American Birth Control League became Planned Parenthood, which has moved to fulfill its founders' goals, helped greatly by the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade.
Under the veil of secrecy and deception, 60+ million babies have not been born because they were aborted legally since '73. 1/3 of that population belong to the African American community.
This is why you have risen.
They believed in nothing. Now they are nothing. You and I, we will change all that. We will give the world something to believe in again. Now come, my love. We have a score to settle.
In a way, it's Akasha, Kamala, the Queen of the Damned, wishing for you to kill your babies. Is she trying to call humanity, like Akasha? So many deaths, just to keep the population under control. Like Thanos, to get rid of half
Drinking
of the
my blood
universe.
allows you to live in the light. And soon the sun will no longer sting your eyes.
Times. Behind me is the bus from Planned Parenthood of Great Rivers, where they're giving free vasectomies, free medicated abortions, and free emergency contraception in Chicago's West Loop, just 10 minutes from the Democratic National Convention.
Okay, this is a real headline I'm about to show you guys. Okay, I don't make this stuff up. This was actually posted in GB News. Check out this headline. It is just completely crazy. Liberal women across America vow to never have sex with men again in revenge for Donald Trump's victory. I said, what? Then my sister...
There is something sinister, possibly, allegedly, in her speech. You have to listen to it. It sounds like it's hopeful, but just like The Angels and Demons, the movie, it could sound really sweet, but it can mean something very horrible. Listen, there's a secret message.
We invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population.
Did she say reduce population? Yes, she did. Reduce population.
Invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population. More of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water. And reduce population. More of our children. We invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population.
We've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. The second factor is the service.
And as long as we keep fighting, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
Is unburdened by what has been, but knowing what can be. That being said, there are many challenges to that approach.
This is but a taste of what we shall share, my love. My king. Behold our kingdom.
Kingdom of corpses? Why?
Why not?
This is why you have risen.
They believed in nothing. Now they are nothing.
Unburdened by what has been and what can be. You see, the sexes are tied to the feet of the devil's footstool, the gender. As above, Ford also republished the protocols of the Elders of Zion.
I want to say thank you, Ford Foundation. I want to say thank you, Ford Foundation.
Ooh, look at that vampire tooth. Queen of the damned.
The term eugenics is basically a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. Historically, by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior and promoting those judged to be superior. There have been various applications of eugenics, perhaps the most famous being the Germans before and during World War II, which was condemned by the Nuremberg war crimes trials.
Like some Hitler type thing.
But the Germans did not invent eugenics. In fact, they were inspired by the founder of the taxpayer-funded Planned Parenthood. The truth behind the genesis of that organization
And see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look.
Here we have Bill Gates at a TED Talk called Innovating to Zero. Bill Gates. He wants to get this P down to zero. Let's listen to his idea.
First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion.
So he wants to deal with the population to bring it down to zero. Let's listen to how he's going to do it.
Now, if we do a really great job on...
Look at the crowd of people that he's talking to. But yet the pictures of the people he puts up to depopulate have a different melanin ratio.
As founder of the American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger was no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While
the fight takes a while, that doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win.
Marriage is the farthest thing from on the table currently, so they screwed the pooch on that one if they thought that any of this was going to actually help with the whole family and kids department and lowering birth rates, because that, not even.
Is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
I'm getting married in 11 days, bitch, to a woman. You see that?
Voted against my motherfucking rights.
Make a doctor's appointment for a surgical consultation to get my tubes tied.
There's no way I'm letting any man near me for the next few years.
Her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
In 1916, Sanger opened the country's first birth control clinic. As a member of the American Eugenics Society, she advocated improving the genetic composition of humans through controlled reproduction of different races and classes. She wrote about the issue in the journal she founded, called the Birth Control Review. In 1919, writing,
I personally believe in the sterilization of the feeble-minded, the insane, and the syphilitic. The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective.
Many point to a 1923 New York Times interview motives, in which she referred to people as weeds, saying,
it means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization.
1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activists launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, they know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger, because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography,
always to me, any aroused group was a good group.
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who's responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews.
poor blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, they know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography,
"Always, to me, any aroused group was a good group."
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
Other recipients of the Margaret Sanger Award include House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and actresses Jane Fonda and Katharine Hepburn. Margaret Sanger was one of the few women to be given an honorific title and inducted into the Ku Klux Klan. Margaret Sanger was one of the few women to be given an honorific title and inducted into the Ku Klux Klan, and exalted by none other than Adolf Hitler and Dr. Joseph Goebbels. She was friends with the racist Democratic President Woodrow Wilson, Democratic fundraiser, and automobile maker Henry Ford, who was also friends with Adolf Hitler and a rabid anti-Semite and hater of black Americans. Margaret Sanger's rabid racism, anti-Semitism, and violent suggestions on eliminating all non-whites from American society endeared her to the eugenics crowd. She wanted
These two sisters, and when I say sisters, I mean sisters, trained from birth to work in this type of services under two organizations that are genocidal and racist, the Ford Foundation and Planned Parenthood. These women are the queens of the damned, the accursed on this planet, the unwanted. So how about we sterilize them and call it reproductive rights? Ah! The trick is on us.
Anyone with $10,000 or more?
The damned. Margaret Sanger is Queen of the Damned.
I understood very clearly how law could help shape the social playing field and how lawyers could actually be agents for social change. A law student with firm roots in both the South, I understood very clearly how law could help shape the social playing field and how lawyers could actually be agents for social change. And that's who I knew I wanted to be. From racial profiling and criminal justice to reproductive immigrant and LGBT rights. Racial profiling and criminal justice to reproductive immigrant and LGBT rights. From racial profiling and criminal justice to reproductive immigrant and LGBT criminal justice to reproductive immigrant and LGBT rights. Enter the world of philanthropy. As Vice President at the Ford Foundation and President at the Ford Foundation.
These two sisters, yes, sisters, were raised by a woman said to have been part of the MK Ultra program. Mind control. Can you tell when you look in her eyes that she may be under some kind of subliminal mind control, hypnosis, Pinky in the brain, MK Ultra? A moment. Okay, let's start again. Here we have a group affiliated with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and the whole socialist group that they're with and the movement that they're part of. And And this one is called We Are Worth Fighting For, which is part of the Working Families Party. And this is a great time for them.
Desperately wish that we were gathering under different circumstances, but know that this call for many of us is going to be a balm, an opportunity.
A bomb? What?
Opportunity to breathe. Know that this call for many of us is going to be a balm.
This is the group We Are Worth Fighting For, which is a socialist organization. A lot of politicians and other people in society, including Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, Biden, Obama, Clinton, Pelosi, they all are affiliated with this group and many other groups who are represented in this action. And they are now gathering so many supporters, so many people. Women are saying they're not going to be with men anymore. People are using their reproductive rights as a leverage for men in this country. And they are actually fulfilling the role that all these leaders are trying to create in terms of the numbers of people who will decrease our population. And it's coming from all fronts. And notice when Maya Harris West talks about how lawyers are agents for change in dealing with the reproductive rights, LGBTQ, and immigration. These things they're saying is all for one end, and that is to see for yourself. In Kamala's speech at around 4:33 p.m., she talks about the power. When the time gets dark enough, you can see the stars, and that we're entering in a dark time. America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant billion stars. The light, she says, of optimism. But what can fill the sky with the light of brilliant billion stars? I think if we look into the movie Angels and Demons, we'll get some better clarity on this. But hear me when I say the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant billion of stars.
It made me remember the 5th of November, a man that I will never forget.
Do you know what day it is, Evie?
November the 4th.
Not anymore. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason, and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Here comes the crescendo.
Billions of stars.
Contact with matter, say the bottom of the canister, then the two opposing forces would annihilate one another violently.
And what might cause it to fall out of suspension?
The battery going dead. which it will, just before midnight.
What kind of annihilation? How violent?
A cataclysmic event. A blinding explosion
On Christmas.
equivalent to about 5 kilotons.
Vatican City will be consumed by light.
Second.
And sacrifice them on the altars of science. Then bring your church down upon you. Vatican City will be consumed by light. A shining star at the end of the path of illumination.
Cos'è una bomba?
When the time is darkest, shine of a billions of stars. Dark matter. Destruction.
11:59. That's what time it is for us. We're a minute to midnight. Every single global ill that plagues the earth can be traced back to human overpopulation, but serious birth control measures, they don't stand a chance. Outrageous violation of my rights, invasion of my privacy. Don't tell me what to do. And still, we keep attacking our own environment. We are destroying the very means by which life is sustained. Every single global ill that plagues the earth can be traced back to human overpopulation. Why do we? You are humanity's final hope. Make sure Inferno is unleashed.
These are the people that you decide, like, it's psycho. And then one of the first things they want to talk about is all this quote-unquote it's psycho. And then one of the first things they want to talk about is all this quote-unquote reproductive rights, which to me is a crock of shit. Is all this quote-unquote reproductive rights, which to me is a crock of shit. All of this shit about people, the control of their bodies, and it's nonsense. You're fighting for the right to kill children, period. Nonsense. You're fighting for the right to kill children, period. And to be murderers. If it was all about the control of your body, then why isn't suicide not legal? That's the ultimate control of your body, right? If I decide whether I want to live or not, right? But we don't, that's not legal. I can't be out here just cutting myself. And y'all talk about this same party that talks about, I can't be out here just cutting myself. And y'all talk, party that talks about having the control of your body, tried to force us to get an injection. Where was the control of our bodies at that? This has nothing to do about women's control of their bodies. This has all to do with population control, which is something that they've been pushing, people like Bill Gates and all of this stuff, and this whole woke culture, which is why I'm totally against Kamala Harris and what she stands for. Period.
On the fundamental rights, women's rights in America are under attack. How dare they?
Notorious for radical views.
There he is.
11:59. That's what time it is for us. In 40 years, they'll fail. We're a minute to midnight. Every single globe back to human overpopulation, but serious birth control measures, they don't stand a chance. Outrageous violation of my rights, invasion of my privacy. Don't tell me what to do. And still we keep attacking. But serious birth control measures, they don't stand a chance. Outrageous violation of my rights, invasion of my privacy. Don't tell me what to do. Mama? The sixth extinction. It means the Inferno virus was released last night at midnight and is now being carried to every corner of the earth. Within 6 days of its release, the virus will replicate itself in every man, woman, and child on Earth. Expect the current population to be culled by half. The survivors will witness horrors unknown to this planet. But I want them to know why. That this was our doing, and this is our salvation. Now is the time.
Dante.
Acrylic gesso.
You mean paint?
Water-soluble paint.
Smells like a wet dog. Waiting. Seek the treacherous Doge of Venice, who severed of Venice. The treacherous Doge of Venice, who severed the heads from horses.
Venice? Where Dante was infected with the disease that killed him.
Kneel within the gilded museum of holy wisdom and listen for the sounds of trickling water deep into the sunken palace where the chthonic monster waits.
The plague itself. Underwater.
Submerged in the blood-red waters of the lagoon that reflects no stars.
Professor!
I'm gonna make you another path. Inferno will be at the end.
Wrong with thinning the herd once in a while. Nothing wrong with thinning the herd once in a while. It's healthy. I've seen many acts of God. Famine, typhoons, cholera. And you know what? Sometimes it hits the right people.
We wanted the WHO to endorse mass sterilization in drinking water and staple foods.
The most interesting things happen in doorways. At the borders, right along the edges.
USA, godlessness. Let me say that again. Godlessness. It wasn't the war they started. It wasn't the plague they created. It was judgment. Saw it all. Immigrants, Muslims, homosexuals, terrorists, disease-ridden degenerates. They had to go. Strength through unity. Unity through faith. I'm a processor.
First of all, some of them have men cutting their hair. Second of all you're doing is exactly what Kamala Harris wants you to do. I don't know if she's paid you out of the billions of dollars she had raised, but great job.
Processor.
After the election, women in the 4B movement caught their heads shaved. Doesn't it look familiar in this movie, V for Vendetta? Remember, V is for 22. And they isolate themselves from men. This movie is giving foresight. Those Wachowski sisters or brothers or whatever they are now. And Joel Silver. We are living in a horror movie. The scariest movie ever. Where they sterilize you. They convince you that you're not worth it, that your children are not worth living. And we vote for it.
There are lots of rumors flying around the internet about the hidden meaning in your lyrics, that you're giving away vampire secrets. Something in all that?
Maybe I'm trying to resurrect a few old friends, daring them to come out.
But these other